Oh, quick oats.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah. It's oatmeal as. That's a good. We'll come in the morning, man.
Just add water to that.
I'll be there in the morning, man. That's oatmeal as a.
It's gonna stick to you.
Yeah, that's right. Whether you want it to or not. Okay. And then they're gonna be on here at 3
next week. 3.
Yeah, but I think today they're looking at doing 3 o'clock today. It's a test run. Yeah, just a different. Yeah. We're gonna do a dry run.
Who's controlling what actually goes through the feed? Like, you're doing your thing, and then they may cut to you, and then they'll cut to somebody else.
Correct.
We keep going.
Correct. So our feed will be on our Facebook feed and then our YouTube feed, and then they have access to both of those, so they can jump in if they want, and also it will allow them to. We cut away, and they do. They'll have like a couple of which gives me a chance to go to the bathroom and all that stuff. Yeah, right. So, and if I don't have anybody like for an extended period in the night, then that gives me a chance to nap or whatever I need to do. Yeah.
What's the name of what's the Facebook page?
Is it
the Anderson Christian Center?
Yeah, I think that's yeah. So, but my mic is good, right? So that's what I'm using.
Oh, I see. I didn't realize.
Yeah, he had me take one. So yeah.
Check. Yep. Testing.
There's a slight delay.
Lavalier mic for Rob, and we're using the handheld mic for the guests.
Yes.
We'll be asking questions. Rob gets to provide all the answers.
All of them.
I'd rather be Rob than me.
I have all of the answers.
he's got all the answers. We know that. And
all
if he doesn't know the answers, he's going to make them up.
I'm going to make them up. Yes. 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 Right this minute, we're live. I got you. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we want to make sure everything works good. Is this the position you see us being in on Thursday, or more with, or turn maybe a little bit this way? Okay. I got you. And okay, I understand.
I'm glad you did.
When I looked a second ago, somebody's actually watching this.
Okay. All right. Just so you know. Okay. Yeah, and we might be able to do something with that also. Yeah. So anybody that's watching, 1 week from today, Thursday, the 9th at 3 p.m. For 24 hours until the October 10th, Friday at 3 p.m. We're going to do a live feed, and we're going to be interviewing people that are unhoused and service providers and others. And this is a test run today. Just want everything to go right.
Even let a volunteer or two in there.
Huh?
I said you're even going to let a volunteer or two in there.
We're going to let a volunteer in there too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people that have, we want to answer questions. This is how we begin to solve problems, is by dignified and respectful dialogue about the issues.
It's a terrific idea.
Yeah. We proposed that a couple years ago, And it's interesting. I was looking at all this and I thought, I wonder if people are going to think this is some kind of a reaction to like the way Charlie Kirk presented information.
Oh,
But obviously this has been in the works for a couple of years.
right.
And then the October 10th is World Homeless Day. So that was the strategy sometime back that we would use World Homeless Day to do this. Plus it's kind of, it's kind of indicative of unpredictable weather and things like that. I think that's very important.
That's a great time of year to do it.
Yeah. You know, for years we did our walk a mile in my shoes.
And what? Tell me about that.
We would do that in March, and we would go to we meet at the university. It's exactly 1 mile to the store.
Oh, got it.
And we'd have people.
Nice.
And we'd have 300-400 people.
Awareness, and was it a fundraiser as
Awareness, and it would raise some money along the way. And then our board wanted to retool our events last year, so we moved that event to something to be a part of the 4th of July parade.
Right.
And then for this, they wanted to retool our gala, which is in the first Thursday in November.
Gotcha.
And
is that on for this November as well?
No, we're retooling that as well.
Okay.
And as a result, that kind of opened the window to do this.
Got it.
Opened the door for us to do something like this. So that we wanted to jump in and make that happen.
You can only do so many projects like this.
Yeah.
You know, you only have so many resources and so much time, so you got to spread them out, I guess.
Yeah, you really do.
And you want the awareness spread out over the year too.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the plan. So the walk this year was part of the parade, and then we wanted to engage it as part of to really bring highlight to the well, which is our women's shelter. So yeah, exciting stuff, a lot going on. But this year, you know, because the community looks to us for solutions. And also when this community is in a crisis, what we discovered during the pandemic was this is truly the safety net.
Oh, no question about it.
You know, from the middle of March, I'll tell you this, that the food pantries all closed, and during the pandemic, and many of them just said, go to the Christian Center because they know we don't close.
Right.
And so that turned into a lot of meals, and because we had safety concerns, we did them in to-go meals.
Right.
We did 151,000 meals from the middle of March, when the pandemic really hit, till the end of the year.
So you had to pivot just like any other business.
In day one.
So I'm in healthcare, or was in healthcare.
Yep, we had to pivot day one.
You got to pivot right away.
Yeah, and day one we had to become that, and then also we had to reach out and find food, and so we contacted like Second Harvest and people like that, and said, you know, just send us anything if it's edible.
I'm just curious, did COVID seem to affect homeless people more or less? I mean, they're not necessarily in close contact with a lot of people, so I wondered if that was a benefit or not.
Where the dangers were, as you said, they tend to be outside, they tend to be naturally separated,
Right.
A lot of things like that were, but shelters could really suffer. Our protocols when the SEC when they released the protocols for the COVID, we were already in excess of that. Our protocols were already better than what the government.
Right.
Because the year before we had had a really rough flu year. So we wanted to put these processes into play.
Right.
And so by the time COVID came around, we were already exceeding their expectations.
Nice.
And so as a result, we had 0 cases among residents.
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
That's fantastic.
You know, I would hear stories in the years after about shelters who, you know, they would say, well, we had so many deaths and we had so many this and so many that. And, you know, and I could say, look, I mean, 0 cases. We had no cases. And we made some adjustments to spacing and things like that. But for the most part, we were in good shape.
Already had the
protocols
down.
And you'll see like air cleaners around, and you'll see different things around that are kind of remnants of that we want to continue to keep people healthy.
Yeah,
because we're still going to have COVID, we're still going to have the flu, we're still going to have
again,
you know, seasonal colds and things. So
yeah, I didn't think about it, but you're right. You probably were more sensitive to flu than the general public.
Sure,
So
absolutely.
You already had
Yeah.
to be in kind of high alert.
And we wanted to
for
get
that.
people out that needed, we wanted to get them vaccinated if it was appropriate. Not for everybody,
Yeah.
I mean, but we did for whoever was.
You were able to arrange for vaccinations for people that
Well,
wanted it and so
flu
forth.
particularly. We worked with the
Right.
health department, a
Do
few
you?
others, but there wasn't a COVID vaccine ready, and a lot of people would choose just not to have it anyway.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Anyway,
Yeah. You mentioned that the women's shelter. Is that the facility, the home down here
Yeah.
on the corner that you guys are
yes,
kind of in the process of renovating?
yeah. The brown house
Getting that
is
ready to
already
go.
done and open, so the well is already providing services there.
Hmm.
I think we've had 23 residents
Mm-hmm.
that have been there. So, and we had all but one had graduated into a place to live and
Got it.
all that, have all their other services. Because, with women with children, there are a lot of the need for wraparound services. How do you get them to
That's
school?
a whole different animal.
Yeah.
Right.
And how do you
Right.
keep them in the consistency of their school and the consistency of that? But really, the team's done a really good job.
Right.
So I'm really proud of the way the team's done that. So do you know what his, gosh, I appreciate you being here.
Oh, that's no problem. Glad to be here. You got a great team. They've been very, very open to letting me help out. And it's been
Yeah.
great.
That's a good group, isn't it?
Great.
So got a good team. That's one of the things that I think we've done right. We don't have turnover. The average organization like ours, the average charity, we'll have 25, 35% turnover a year. Some of them much higher. When I came on board here, and the previous director and his staff, his secretary, she was telling me that we have at least half the staff leave a year every year, and you can't build programs on constant turnover.
Right.
And I don't think we've had anyone leave here. I think it's been 4 years. I think January will be 4 years.
That's awesome.
January will be 5
Well, you're in a
years.
relationship business too.
Yeah.
You can just tell people kind of even out here today that know you guys by name, and
Yeah.
they, those relationships are.
Yeah, and we work really hard to know them by name as well.
Yeah,
And-
that's awesome.
Yeah, so we have a lot of interaction there, and then just as a staff, we have fun together. Just when you think about an organization's culture
Mm-hmm.
and where your values are, so the way an organization should work is the board of directors worries about taking care of me,
Right.
and I take care of the staff.
Right on.
And as a result, I get to do those things,
That's
and we get to
nice.
launch things that a lot of nonprofits can't do. Like we have a pension program. Most of my staff have never had any kind of an IRA or a pension, and so they've got that started. And but also we what do we value? And we value taking care of people. We value our faith. One of the things that we talk about when I first interview somebody, it kind of goes like this. You have to love Jesus and you have to love people, or you can't work here,
Right.
because what we do doesn't make sense at that point. And so we come on, and then so we value our relationship with Jesus, but we value fun. So you hear a lot of laughing, a lot of silliness, but that adds to
That's great.
no one dreads going to work. And I think that's an important part. And a lot of nonprofits, they feel like their people work hard and all that. And a lot of nonprofits, because the general public will say, well, they expect that if you work with the poor, you should also be poor, or you should also be, and that's just kind of a misnomer that we've worked very, very hard to make sure that the staff can have a livable wage, and the staff can take care of so yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say you are there to help the poor when you employ the poor.
Yeah.
That doesn't really make sense. It
Well,
makes sense that you're trying to uplift everybody.
Right. And it's also, our people are qualified. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think I figured we've got, among our whole staff, we've got about 84 years, I think it was, that I figured not long ago that the staff that have worked in a ministry field or worked in a nonprofit or have worked with the homeless. And when you look at that, things become intuitive to the people, and a lot of it's just hiring the right people. And
hiring the right people is so much a part of the leadership role.
Well, and I think one thing is that you want people with lived experience as well. And so, we have 3 recovery coaches that have been there, done that. These are peers. I make sure that my teammates, because a lot of times I've never struggled with addictions,
Right.
and so I can have conversations with people, and I know clinical knowledge and the book knowledge, but
like being there though.
No, and my greatest teachers have been my staff that have been there and have come through that, and you hear their stories. They're not only inspiring, but they're a great way to learn about how things ought to work. So, and then we know that the underlying basis for homelessness is trauma.
Right.
And so, we want to make sure that the whole team is trauma informed, and the people that are here are getting that kind of training and stuff. And it makes a difference when working with somebody. And I have a trauma, but its effect on me were different than a lot of people. And so as a result, and I think that's, everybody has some level of trauma.
Right.
Everybody has some level of experience, either through childhood or military experience or whatever.
Right.
And we are wired differently, and we address those things differently. And some people have, they seek to self-medicate.
You can't be judgmental about
No.
other people's trauma.
Well, and
Trauma, because it's all in the eyes of the beholder, right?
yeah.
Sure.
I think just the saying that once you know someone's story, it's hard to judge them.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of the lady's name who she used to say,
It's real easy to judge people when you don't know their story.
yeah, you make that up in your head,
Oh,
right?
I do.
Right.
I'm terrible.
We all do, and you kind of go,
one of my worst sins.
yeah,
And you know somebody's story, it's a whole different,
yeah.
different perspective.
You kind of look and go, well, if that person lived their life differently or whatever, and the reality is,
Got themselves into that situation.
yeah, if they had only,
right. Right.
So anyway,
where did you come from? You probably said this when you were at New Hope a while back, but how did you get into this A line of work, and B specifically?
Yeah.
Are you from the Anderson area?
I've lived here my whole life.
Oh, no kidding.
And my brother wrestled with addictions growing up, primarily alcohol, and from the time he was 16, and he finally got sober in middle age, but then he died young. He died at 61, and
that's a consequence.
Yeah. But that was kind of a thing for me to want to pursue, doing more. So through my church, they wanted somebody that would lead mission trips to like New York City, somewhere to work with the homeless.
Right.
And they came to me and said, "Do you want to?" Because I love New York City.
Right.
And they said, "Do you want to lead mission trips out to New York?" And I said, "I'm your guy."
Right.
And I'd never done it before.
Right.
This had been 2000, 2001 maybe. And
what were you doing at the time?
I was a CFO. I was a chief financial officer at my church. I had been in healthcare for years, and I was at a mega church.
Right.
And I was been the second in command at this big church.
Right.
And so they asked me if I wanted to lead it. They wanted all the staff to be engaged in some kind of a missions thing. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. And then over time, I did dozens of those trips. So I got to really learn how to work with people on the street, hear their stories, and learn all that. And then I came up here to volunteer. And as I said, I've been a finance guy my whole life. And they let the director go. And they said to me, are you interested in
step in for a minute?
Yeah. And I said, no, I don't. What, this is just not for me. I don't believe I'm called. And here God had been preparing me all these years in New York.
Yeah, you had a good background.
And I knew how to successfully run a nonprofit. I had done them for years, and I had always not that money is the most important thing, but they had all been able to deliver. They'd all been able to deliver ministry. And they were successful, and they were. I mean, you can have all the good intentions in the world, but if you don't have the resources to fund those, and that's what a lot of people don't fully they don't grasp is that, in fact, the prior director used to say, if God wants us to be open, God will provide everything we need. And then God doesn't need us. And then he went and then he went hunting,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And what you need is you need somebody who's faithful, who's going to be, because God needs. And he was saying, I can't get over it, man. There's not, the stuff used to go on in the dorms doesn't happen anymore. The stuff that goes on in the dining room doesn't happen anymore because I was kind of a law and order guy.
Yeah, right.
And
rules.
right. And we really made sure the rules were enforced. And he was just kind of going on about how it was so different. And
That worked on you a little bit.
well, at that point, they'd offered me the job 3 or 4 times, and I'd said no every time.
Right.
And I went home and I told my wife, I said, maybe we need to think about this.
Right. Right.
And we thought, in the last 12, 15 years of our careers, maybe this was a great way to give back to our community.
Right.
So we said yes.
Don't you love, you and I are going to have some similarities here, but I always loved having the financial background in an operations role. I was like,
yeah,
oh, that's like gold.
Yeah,
right?
it really is.
It was like I always felt like I don't want to say I felt like I had an advantage on everybody in the room, but I kind of felt like I did.
You had a big advantage
because people don't expect in an operations role. They're like, this guy doesn't really know the finance side of this thing, but
he knows how buildings operate or whatever.
Yeah, that's a different. Or you come up through a social work background, which nothing wrong with that, but still to run the business, in Catholic healthcare, I heard over my career more than once a nun, one of the sisters say there's
which network were you
I was with Ascension, for 25 years.
I was at St. John's, which is where I be.
Oh, well, then we're going to know a lot of how long ago were you at St. John's?
Well, I went there when I was in 1978. I was 18.
Yeah, right.
And then I put myself through college.
Yeah.
And then in 15 years, I think I had 9 promotions.
Yeah.
From working in the laundry to being a staff accountant, senior staff accountant.
It happens, man.
Yeah. And I think Ascension's good at that.
Was like Kyle Defer there when you were there. Kyle's a good friend.
Kyle's a great guy.
Kyle Vanossel's a great friend.
He's another good guy.
So my role was.
And Don Apple was
Don
Apple was our CFO.
So my role at the end of my career, I was the COO for the national team at the national office for all the physician enterprise.
I love that. So did you work out of South Bend? Did you work out
I actually, I was started in the Indiana market with St. Vincent.
Okay.
And then ran the Indiana Physician Network, which was about 1,700 physicians.
Yeah.
APPs. And so I know all the docs, all the Charles Purdy, all the guys up here, these are all guys that I ran around with. And then, several years ago, they said, our national COO is going to take a role in Michigan, and would you take that job? So I ended up,
Love
I
that.
still worked out of my house. I didn't have to move.
That's great. That's wonderful.
So I was the national COO for medical.
I love that. I love that. When I was on staff, and I was the accountant that dealt with the surgery center when it opened, and a lot of other things that we did. I was, by then I was an accountant, and then I was a senior accountant, and then.
So, when was the last time you were at St. John? When would you?
I left
when did you leave St. John?
I left. I was there in '78. Hold on, '79, and I left there in January of '94. I was there 15 years.
So who was that?
Well,
was he the CEO at that time?
Let me think. I think that James Stevens was still the CEO.
That's predates me.
No. Well, James was there, and Sister Michaeline. So we had a sister that was the CEO, and then
James. See, I started with Ascension. I ran in up until 2010. I was the COO for the care group, the big cardiology group.
Okay.
Which included the cardiologists up here. So like Fred Spotsville, Rod Sawyer, those guys.
Yep.
And then we were acquired by Ascension in 2010.
Okay.
So that's when I really officially started.
Yeah. And I think
role.
I think James Stevens had left by then.
Yeah.
And Michael.
I think Van Alstel was the CEO about then when I came in.
Might have been.
Kyle had gone to 86th Street.
Yeah.
And I still see Kyle all the time.
Yeah.
He lives down in Fishers.
Okay. Kyle's a good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a small world, isn't
it is a small world.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
looks
Don,
like he's.
Don was there for. He's
Yeah. Well then, I can't remember if Jerry Brummett was the CEO at all. Jerry was the vice president of finance, and then Don Apple was under him, and then Jerry. I can't remember if Jerry was CEO for a while. Jerry Brummett.
Mm-mm.
All of those would have been in the 90s, probably. Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
went there as a kid, and my sister, I had two sisters that worked there, and that's the kind of place where people just stay.
Oh yeah.
And for me, I graduated college by then, and I was a senior accountant, and I got an offer to be a chief financial officer at a small agency, at a small healthcare agency, and I thought that's a great way to do it.
Right.
And that was about $2.5 million in revenue.
Right.
And then we had gotten connected with the community network and some of the movers and shakers there, and they really liked us. They liked the way that we ran the organization, and we grew it really fast.
Right.
So I got to be a part of like a 5-person thing that we were going around buying up agencies. So we were buying up like some pharmacies and some DME companies and things like that. And
That's awesome.
yeah, and so.
Yeah.
And then, so I became the chief financial officer of that entity. That was home cares, hospices, DME companies. We had a couple pharmacies. We had physical therapy, occupational therapy, and stuff. And we, at that point, we were probably about 16 million.
Yeah.
And my kids were all at age where they were all playing sports. They were all in elementary school.
You're in a grind of business.
Oh my gosh.
Monthly
And
close.
yeah.
It's always coming at you.
Yeah.
Always coming at you. So to back up a little bit, before I got into operations with Ascension and the Care Group, I made that transition from finance to there as part of American Health Network, which is part of Anthem. And so in my time started in public, I was in public accounting for 6 years before I jumped out.
Yeah.
So I was a CPA with started with Maine Herdman, and then we merged with Pete Marwick, or actually Arthur Young, kind of a merger. And then I left there with a bunch of other guys and went back over to Pete Marwick. There were a bunch of coming and going type things back then. That's when the Big Eight kind of became the Big Four, and so
I was gonna say
caught up in that.
Yeah.
So I spent 6 years in public accounting.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And I love the operations side. That's
so
much more fun.
You know, I decided to get a master's, as opposed to become a CPA.
Yeah,
I just didn't want to Ball State.
That's where I got my undergraduate degree.
Yeah, and I just didn't want to be all pigeonholed into just accounting, because I liked the operations side. And I left there, and my church, I was going to North Anderson Church of God at the time, my family and I, and there was lots of vision, lots of stuff. And the senior pastor reached out to me, and he said, you have 15 minutes, you can meet with me. And he cast this vision of growing this church and being in the field and doing all this outreach and stuff. And I said, I'm in. And my wife and I sat down and we figured out what we could, because we had 4 kids and everything going on in our lives. And so what do I have to make this happen? And I just decided that would be my fleece. And I went in, and that's what he offered me. Exactly that number. And so we knew that was it. And I was there 15 years and led mission trips and did a lot of things, but got to really, we had a $5.5–6 million budget at one point. So for a church, that's a big church, and 20 some hundred members. And, but I just, your character is exposed when things are not easy. And we had it easy. I could raise money. I could, and and when things got tough, the character of the people around us began to show.
Right.
And I literally at that point I was like, nah, I can't do this. And so I was in
God's way of telling you there's
absolutely,
something else out there.
and I was transitioning, and
Find that, right?
I had taken a great job in Ohio. It was like a dream job, and then I met Dave Nolan, and I thought, man, maybe I should stay here and do this. And God has honored our family, and my whole family, all my kids, you know, have stayed nearby, so we see them all of them, all of the time, and it was exactly the life that I wanted. And yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I love the intersection of our careers. That's really fun.
isn't that crazy?
And
You know, that's sweet. It works that way a lot, don't you think?
well,
With the top of that truck, they must have hit an underpass. It looks like it's just peeled back like a sardine can.
well, I'll tell you what I've told Richard and everybody else. The thing I'm most excited about my retirement is just doing the work.
Yeah.
Like I've been running 40,000 employees
Yeah,
in
that's,
the medical group.
oh yeah.
I mean, you know, and I'm like, no, I just want to do the work.
Yeah.
So use me however you.
I love that. I love that. And you know, that's
I
the
had the most fun 2 weeks ago at Casey's. Oh, I got something for you. That's awesome. She says, sort these invoices, put them in alphabetical order.
oh yeah.
I'm like, this is awesome. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I just want to do the work.
Well, and I
So
told
I'm
her, I
happy
said,
I'm hoping
Yeah.
that you guys will use me however you want to use
I'm
me.
looking forward to it. And
Yeah.
I love the church, man. Really like your church and everything.
Oh yeah. and you're
I've got
open.
to leave here right at 4:00. So, oh, he's a great guy. Love Gene. He is, you know, now some people, you talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and you don't really get to anything. And Gene's one of those that he'll sit in a board meeting and not say a word, and then when he does, it's valuable. It has real value to it. So
Gene's going to be on the quiet side for a board member.
Yeah.
Probably,
And
but very insightful.
I tend to, as the CEO that sits on that board, I tend to overshare, but I want my board to know everything, dude. I want them to know. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I don't want anything to.
Much better to overshare than hold back. From
Yeah.
the board.
And when it comes to
Absolutely.
the treasurer will do the financial stuff, but then I'm like, okay, I do have one thing, you know, and I want
Right.
you to know that what this number means, and you know, like right now we're seeing, you know, our expenses are up, but we've replaced roofs, and we've replaced heating units and security systems and the whole
Right.
telephone system, and we've redone our handhelds and
Right.
all these kinds of things. And you think, man, we got so much money invested, and you know, we'll end up capitalizing a lot of that. So
Right.
at the end of the year, you're going to see that there's going to be less of a. But I want you to
P&L
know
that'll
that,
hit your cash flow.
yeah, but don't expect, you know, your cash flow is what your cash flow is, but you know, when you're accounting for your non-cash or your, you know, the amortization schedule and your depreciation schedule and all that stuff, you're going to see a difference in those numbers. But it's
Right.
just kind of getting them and then letting them just go ask anything and come in anytime. And one of the things that I did was our treasurer came early for a meeting, and we were going over the financials, and she was asking about which staff did what, and I said, I'm going to tell you right now, I'll tell you who did it, and then I'm going to go get them, and then I'm going to leave the room, and you can ask them. They have no idea
Right.
about this. You can ask them any question.
Yep.
And what walking out of that was the credibility that we had, was that, you know, when just like Sean says, somebody brings a donation in, this is how I record it. This is how I, you know what I'm saying? And
Your
then
controls
that
and-
receipt book, you know, that money with the receipt goes up here, and then the receipt book gets audited every month.
Right.
So you know if there's any missing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Which is hard in a small organization because you get the controls and separations of duties and all those
Yeah.
sorts of things. Very difficult.
Yeah.
And I think people are naturally suspicious,
Oh, sure.
that sort of stuff. So that's awesome.
Well, and like I'll remind them, you know, cash, you have to bend over backwards
Right.
to make sure that there's never never any suspicion or concerns about that.
So
So
this must be all the different. Everybody's
yeah,
on the
so they're talking to him because we can't hear any of that.
right. Yeah, I'm gonna do that with you Thursday, and then Friday at noon, I'm driving out to my daughter. She lives in South Dakota to take care of my two grandchildren for a week, which I'm looking forward to. Somebody else from New Hope has been up here. Was Rex Steeple been up here?
He
was
used
he
to
on
be.
your board?
He was on our board for
Rex was.
20 years.
Yeah, another
Yeah.
great guy.
Great guy.
Another awesome
Love
guy.
Rex. Yeah.
Rex is awesome.
Yeah. He's the one that invited me to come down and speak at the
Yeah.
church.
Yeah, I was glad you
What's up,
did.
man?
Or I would have never known. But I mean, I just
Yeah.
don't. And it's. I've been head down, working, and I just haven't.
Yeah.
I just have, just needed to get more knowledgeable about organizations.
Yeah. That's how we
Places I
spend
can
our lives though. Unfortunately, culturally, we're, of course we're different than our parents.
Right.
Our children are different than us, and that priority is shifting from that work to the parents being more that work isn't the center of their lives. And
my kids, it's the funniest thing because I'm so thankful that they think that way.
mm-hmm.
Because I think about, especially in my entire career, but man, it was just like one sacrifice after another. I mean, kids now are saying, you know what, I'm going to my kid's soccer game.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Amen.
Well, and I've been able to, I can create my own schedule to a degree, and I put those on as soon as we have games scheduled, and I can't make them all, and sometimes I can't make half of them, but I make what I can. But I have that. They're on my radar.
Schedule first, then it's never going to
happen. Right.
And I did tell, I told Richard, by the way, I was just thinking this because when Richard said, what's your availability? I said, well, why don't we pick an afternoon, the same afternoon every week? So
yeah.
In my head, it's always like locked in.
Yeah, I like that.
But then last week, I told him on the way out the door, I said, listen, I want to make sure I wasn't overly, like, if you've got needs outside of that, call me.
Yeah, that's
like,
great.
If somebody doesn't show up at the desk and you need somebody to
I
sit
love
there
that.
for 3 hours, I said, just call me. You have my cell phone.
That's the
So
truth.
that way, because I didn't want to feel like he could only call, he could only get stuff set up for me on Thursday afternoon. I said, just call me.
I think that's the true heart of volunteering and the true heart of ministry is being able to understand, that the organization that you're volunteering with or that you're supporting has needs that might be,
tight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Organizations are not, even big organizations like Ascension, it's not as tidy as you think it should be. Things happen and you got to pivot.
We really loved. What's up, man? We really loved the working with at St. John's here in Anderson, and the way they
have they been good to the organization.
Yeah, they have. They have, and they've been. But my family, we love being part of that Ascension family. When I was there, I was young. I was very young. I mean, we had 4 kids when I left, but they were all. Our oldest would have been 8. and our youngest was 2.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And to leave there, but you know, there are just kind of organically several people within the Ascension started putting together reunions.
Oh yeah,
and stuff.
nice.
This is a great
That's awesome.
idea. Yeah.
That's terrific. I've kind of leaned, you know, I guess I need to take advantage of this as long as I can, but you know, I've had a couple of opportunities to reach back to the section and say, hey, I need some help. You know, guy called me a couple weeks ago, and a friend of a friend, and said, hey, I understand you used to work at Ascension. I said, yeah. He said, listen, my church is sponsoring a family of refugees from Uganda,
Mhm.
and they're at Walmart, and the problem is they don't have a car, so they Uber to Walmart and back. So
Yeah.
you're already doing the math on that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if they could get something at 86th Street and they could walk, it would be. So I called in, I cashed in some chips, you know.
Yeah.
And I called the CEO at 86th Street and said, man, if there's, and I said, you gotta, somebody from HR's got to reach out to them and lead them through the process. It can't be just get online and apply like everybody else.
Yeah.
I said, they're just not going to be able to figure that out.
Right. Right. And it can be a confusing process. I mean, for you know what
it's even worse now compared to when you were there because it's
Yeah.
such a huge organization.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of in terms of donations and stuff and politics and everything.
Oh,
We've seen our numbers have. We think this is going to be a challenging year for us because everybody's donations are down.
Oh, yeah.
And people that were, you know, we had a major donor offended by something that a staff person said online,
right.
and
That
you
drives
know,
crazy, doesn't it?
yeah, and I tried to have some grace with the staff person, but ultimately you hate to let somebody go because of that,
Right.
you know, but we that's why I avoid it, and I try to avoid it the best I can. You know, I wasn't bashful about my admiration for Charlie Kirk and his faith.
Right. Nor was I.
Yeah, I was really impressed by the way he lived out his faith and everything, but everybody's looking for anything, and you know, I had somebody who I normally wouldn't agree with politically had made a post, and I agreed with it, and they're like, oh, you're coming to the other side, and I went, no, you made a great point.
No,
I mean, I'm just absolutely, and you know,
it's kind of what Charlie Kirk stood for. Right?
Yeah,
He was all about.
Well,
I
then they
hear both sides of the argument.
and then they were ready to use it against me.
Yeah.
Oh, so you don't? And it's like, oh, you know, I just,
Right. Yeah.
you know, I don't want to live in a world where we all have to think about staying under the radar.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Let's not get there.
Now I committed weeks ago to picking my granddaughter, so I got to leave by 4.
I think we haven't gotten any like high sign from these guys. Let me go in and check.
Yeah, this has been nice just sitting here talking. To be honest, yeah.
A lot of fun.
Okay.